Will the special price by the United States buy 11 brand new Chinooks for the Philippines? Please like and share the video, and subscribe to the channel. The Philippines ambassador to the United States Jose Manuel Romualdez recently said in an online forum that the Philippine government is now considering buying the American-made Chinook helicopters after the contract to buy Mi-17 helicopters from Russia was cancelled due to threats of sanctions by the United States. What is funny is that nobody in the privately owned Philippine press are even mentioning that the United States is bullying the Philippines not to buy from Russia. And that such bullying is actually against the sovereignty of our country to make our own decisions. So they basically tolerate bullying from the United States, but if it was the supposed bullying of China, then they would be featuring it every day for weeks on end. Anyway, Ambassador Romualdez said that the United States is coming up with a deal that will include parts and maintenance services, and at a special price, for the Philippines. He didn't give much details about this so-called special price. I assume it means a cheaper price that will allow us to buy more helicopters than we could have with our limited budget. My question is though, will this special price buy us enough Chinook helicopters to make up for the loss of the Mi-17 helicopters? So first, let's look at the price. The deal for the Mi-17 was worth 12.7 billion pesos for 16 brand new units, or 227 million United States dollars using the exchange rate of 55.9 pesos per dollar. This amounts to around $14.2 million per helicopter. Ambassador Romualdez didn't mention it, but I assume that the Chinooks that will be provided will be brand new and not second-hand. The latest version of the Chinook is the CH-47F, and its price for a brand new unit is a bit hard to pin down since some websites quote prices for them but doesn't show the source for how that price was arrived at. However, a CNET article puts it at around $38 million, citing the United States Department of Defense as its source. If so, then that would make it 2.7 times more expensive than the Mi-17, with a price difference of $23.8 million. That means in terms of price, our budget of $227 million will only buy us around 6 brand new CH-47F if no special price is given for them. With such a big difference in price, I am not sure if the Americans will be able to give us a 1:1 replacement for the Mi-17 helicopters, not with brand new units, anyway. With second-hand units of an older version, maybe. But should we accept second-hand units to replace brand new ones? That is the question. Let's give the Americans a break since the CH-47F is a bigger aircraft anyway. It is around 1.6 to 1.7 times heavier than the Mi-17 in terms of empty and maximum takeoff weight. Instead of looking for a 1:1 replacement, why don't we just consider the carrying capacity of the helicopters instead? The CH-47F can carry a maximum of 55 passengers, or around 1.5 times that of the Mi-17, which can only carry a maximum of 36. This means that for 16 Mi-17 helicopters, its equivalent total passenger capacity would only be around 11 CH-47F. That seems like a more reasonable amount. If the United States can do that, then fine, that would be a good enough deal for the Philippines. I think anything less than 11 helicopters and it wouldn't be a fair trade-off overall. And to reiterate, it should be for brand new units, not second-hand units. If they provide 11 refurbished and modernized but second-hand units, then it still won't be a fair trade-off overall for me. Then there is the issue of operating costs also, since typical of American-made aircraft, they are not only expensive to acquire but also expensive to operate. The latest data from the United States Department of Defense puts the operating cost of the CH-47F as of 2020 to be at around $6,800 per hour of operation. The operating cost of the Mi-17 is a bit harder to find, but data from 2008 put it at only around $3,500 per hour of operation, or almost half that of the CH-47F. This is the reason why the Mi-17 helicopter has been one of the most popular helicopters in the world, with many units sold and many countries using them. It is because it is cheaper to acquire and cheaper to operate. But now that we are being bullied by the Americans not to buy from Russia and buy their expensive equipment instead, then we will have to spend for more in terms of operating cost. Hopefully we will not be shortchanged also in terms of the number of helicopters. It should be at least 11 brand new CH-47F Chinook helicopters. Anything less, then I think we are being shortchanged. President Bongbong Marcos is set to visit the United States next month of September 2022, so it is likely that the deal for these helicopters will be discussed during that visit. Thank you for watching the video. I invite you again to like and share it, and subscribe to the channel.